My name is Parrish. I am a student researcher. I'm a marketing student for the St. Clair Research and Innovation Department. This is our podcast. Welcome so much. Welcome to the podcast. This is we're hosting this live from the St. Clair Center for the Arts. Would you be able to introduce yourselves? I have three lovely gentlemen sitting across from me. Who would like to start?
I'm Cristian. I'm the general manager at Formula First Collision here in Windsor.
Wonderful.
Happy to be a part.
Thank you so much for coming on. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Paolo.
Hello. What is your role in Formula First?
He's the junior executive.
Junior exec. Very nice. And you yourself?
I'm Frank Cabato. I'm the owner of Formula First Collision, and this is my youngest son, Paolo.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're here at the Marching Forward event. We're here to talk about innovation in our community. So my first question is, what is something that excites you when you think about innovation in your department?
New technology in vehicles.
New technology. And what does that mean to you? I don't have a good grasp on vehicles itself.
Back when I was starting in this business, it was just your basic steel and frame vehicle, and the repair technology was very limited to the person working on it. Nowadays, vehicles are almost flying, and they have a lot of sensors on them and critical structures that you have to maintain the integrity of when repairs. And just seeing the advancement in our industry makes me happy.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Paolo and Cristian, what does innovation mean to you in the automotive industry?
Frank pretty much summed it up. Like he said, the way the cars are being built and how advanced the technology that's going into these new vehicles with self-driving and all these modern safety features, it's really crucial that collision repair facilities like ourselves follow the OEM procedures and have the ability and capability with the tooling and the education of the technicians to be able to bring those vehicles back after an accident so that they perform how they were intended to from the factory, keeping the occupants safe.
Yeah.
That's a really good point there, Cristian. And when we think about mobility and we think about, maybe Frank can talk a little bit about this, and we'll pivot back to Paolo in a moment, but this idea of the very emergence of cars and the reason why we use cars very early on, right? When we think about across the river and the idea of these T models and Ford and we're so grateful to have these big manufacturers in Windsor, especially under the certain circumstances that we face at the moment. But just building on what Cristian said in terms of safety, but then thinking about mobility, Frank, where do you see where cars were to where they are now? And do you think that their expression, or the way that we understand cars to be as a maneuverability piece is changing?
Yeah, so it used to be in the day, if you had a trip to go to Toronto, for example, you had peace and quiet all the way. And if they called the shop, they would say, you can't talk to that person because it's going to be a 4-hour drive to where they're going, and you're going to have to wait for them to check into the hotel and call you back. And that was a kind of a good thing. But modern technology is here, and we now have cell phones, and we have GPS, and we have all sorts of things to make our life easier. And it's gone from a basic transportation to a seamless entity where you're just driving, and you're still able to function and do all your, well, for the most part, do your business items on the way there. And the wife can get a hold of you, everybody can get a hold of you. You know, it's different in the day when you had the person next to you with a big map telling you which road you're going to take, and you know, you just missed the exit, and now you got to travel another 30 kilometers to get around again. And now it's kind of people get accustomed to the technology, and it's like it has to be there. It's like, you know, I couldn't see the new generation driving the old generation vehicles.
Yeah.
I do have a Model T, by the way,
Oh.
and it does drive, you know, faster than a horse, but not much faster. And although it's a wonderful piece of machinery, you know, it's totally different than what we have today. And today is the future. And it's amazing what a vehicle can actually do anymore.
That's right. And maybe that's a good segue for Paolo. So, Paolo, when you're walking around Formula First, what's your favorite thing to do when you go to the shop floor, or you go and hang out with Dad and the family and Cristian? What's your favorite thing to do? What do you like about cars? Is there any favorite cars that are on the shop floor at the moment that you really like? No? You just like hanging out with Dad? And why do you like doing that? Do you like to draw?
Yeah.
What type of cars do you draw?
Any.
A bit louder.
Any cars.
Okay. Cool. And how do you describe, when you go to school and you hang out with your friends at school, how do you describe to them what your family does for work? What's the kind of words that you use? Do you say Dad's a mechanic? Do you say Dad owns a business?
He owns a business.
Dad owns a business. And what do you say that business involves?
Fixing cars.
Fixing cars. Okay. So that might be actually a really good question for you, Cristian. How do we now understand the term fixing cars? What does that look like in your shop? In a very simple way, right? But how has that changed from the experience that Frank's shared with us, from a time when we used to go down the 401 and you didn't know if somebody had arrived, right? You'd have to wait till they got there. Now you can talk to the wife in the car. You don't need to use maps. You've got a navigation system. What does fixing cars mean to you?
That's a good question. I guess the most simple way to put it would be, essentially, we're fixing computers on wheels now with the safety part component that keeps the occupants safe. Compared to the days where Frank's hair looked like mine, I guess, you know, you had to be good at making the appearance look good and just get it back on the road and the consumer happy. But nowadays there's a lot more involved, and the education behind fixing cars properly is a lot more in depth than what it used to be.
Yeah, that's such an interesting evolution that we've seen from, you know, suction cup on the side of a steel door, buff out that dent, to, you know, I have to have a completely different like mechanism to read sensors to even know what's going on inside this engine right now. My family is very car forward, and I have a very selfish question to ask you. Will there be standard cars in 10 years? I have my lovely little standard car. It's a 2018. It was the last one that Honda made, like the last of its model that they made in a standard. And I don't want to give up my standard car ever, but it will eventually die. So, will I get to buy like a real car, like a real standard car in the future, or am I going to be driving something that self-drives, self-corrects in the lanes? Will I ever get to drive like a car again, or am I just going to be driving computers?
Pretty well going to be driving a computer.
Oh no!
So there might be some high-end European manufacturers or somebody that builds high-end vehicles that'll just do that for the enthusiast. But for the most part, I mean, these vehicles now can shift faster than than you could a manual vehicle. And I understand your feeling, because I feel the same way. When we start an electric vehicle, you hear a hum that they put there just so you know the vehicle's on.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, back in my day, the thing that made me go into this industry was the noise of the vehicle, you felt like you were driving it,
Yeah.
and now it's the vehicle in control of you, because these new vehicles, if you're going a little bit out in the other lane, it'll pull you back in.
Yeah.
If you're turning and you don't have your signal on, it'll pull you back in. If the car in front of you stops and you don't, it'll stop for you. So you're not in control of that vehicle.
Oh,
You're
no.
pushing in the buttons where you want to go, and it's going to be like the Jetsons. And we're getting there, and Star Trek and all that other stuff I heard of today in here.
Yeah, that was such amazing speakers that we had
Yeah.
with Masood and AI, those kinds of things. He started talking about teleportation at one
You
point.
won't even need cars at that point.
No. Do you think that this industry will have to evolve quicker than the evolution of cars? Will you eventually maybe become teleportation technicians?
Anything's
my time.
possible.
So,
But back to the vehicles.
Yes,
They're
vehicles.
totally, back when I got into the trade, it was the people that didn't want to attend school and, thought they knew everything and they're going to go into the field and work. Nowadays, if you don't have that school set, that you understand all the terminologies on the way the OEMs ask you to put something back, you're going to be lost. So it needs people with intelligence, with schooling, with the know-how how to read and understand
yeah.
to fix these vehicles. It's not about the shiny paint job anymore. It's about putting the safety back into that vehicle, so in case it ever hits in the same area, it's going to function the same as the manufacturer designed it. Any deviation from that is going to put people in danger, whether they're going to be injured or killed.
Yeah.
That simple.
And it's really interesting when Parrish and I think about it in terms of mobility. But when we talk to Cristian, Paolo, and Frank about it, it's all about safety.
Yeah.
And that's really striking that, when we think about our perceptions of our relationship to a car. And Paolo said it so beautifully that it's all about fixing cars. If we keep it at a very basic level, we're then moving that needle to the next level, whether that's a computer or whether that's a stick shift or whether it's automatic. Now, I grew up driving a manual, what you call a stick shift here. So I feel that the embodied experience of being in a car is very different. Now, I'm one of those, Frank, that drives a Mustang Marquis. I was one of the early adopters. And so I went through up and down 401 when I was at Western University. I was one of those early folks that was giving out research data with my experience. And it was really interesting being on the road and watching other people react to the car. So even when we're turning, the car would say, you need extra time to turn. And so if somebody cut in your way, it would kind of push back or it would flash. And so most folks would think that you're being ignorant or you're being rude to them as they're cutting you. But they don't realize that the way autonomous vehicles react is very much a robotic experience. It's not that personalized experience. So when you're actually holding a wrench or you're working with equipment, maybe Cristian, maybe you can answer this question. But when you're actually experiencing that car for the first time when it comes in, what does that feeling, what is that feeling? Because I think a lot of us just look at it as a to B experience, but for you, you're actually working on the body, you're working on the wheels, you're working on so many different parts of this car that it may or may not actually speak to you, right? So over to you, Cristian. What's that experience like firsthand?
I'm not exactly sure if it'd be the same for everyone, but I think Frank would agree the reason, like even myself, the reason why I got into this industry is because I've always had a passion for cars. So working on them is something that I've always enjoyed, and it's like a passionate experience. And to be able to give a consumer a product that you believe in and that you repaired passionately and take pride in, is the best part of the experience.
And can you explain that a little bit more about passion and pride? Because I know that you've been in our community for a very long time. You're a well-established brand. Most folks know you in the city, particularly for the high-end work you do with the more expensive cars. But what does passion and pride actually mean at Formula First?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, sure. Go for it, Frank.
So when I started my business, after I left my family business, I had to depend on insurance companies in order to survive, because they make it very difficult for someone that's not on their terms to be in business. And as I got report cards from these insurance companies, I was scoring worse than I did in high school. And the shops that I know are not very good were scoring very high. So I asked the person, what are you scoring me on? And it was how cheap I can repair that vehicle for them. And if I can do that and pull the wool over the consumer's eyes, they can fill, just one company can fill my facility. And I guess my passion got a hold of me, and I said, I think we need a divorce. And we divorced every insurance company, or they divorced us because we didn't fit their mandate. And even nowadays, they will badmouth us to no end to try to steer them to their shops that are going to work for them and do things according to what they feel is a repair. Whereas we got involved with the manufacturers that dictate how it needs to be repaired. So the same repair here in Windsor, Ontario, theoretically should be the same in Russia, in China, in Italy, and all over the world. The engineers design the repairs. And back in my dad's day, the technicians, every one of them had a different way of fixing it. Nowadays, it's the same way for all vehicles. And that's why you need to go to school, and that's why you need to know all the terminology that you're going to read upon these instructions. And the passion is making sure it's not about the money on the vehicle, it's about doing the job properly and following instructions, where it was never that way before.
Yeah, and I think I could see Cristian's eyes light up when he was talking about pride and passion. And what really resonates is this authenticity. It's this idea that when somebody comes to your shop, it's not just this novel idea of fixing cars as me and Parrish might know it, but through Paolo's words of fixing cars means a journey, right? It's this experience, it's this history that lives within the walls of Formula First, that I don't like to use the word brand, and I think there's something a little bit more deeper that's going on here in terms of soul, right? There's a piece of soul here, right? And a piece of history that when we anchor it in fixing cars to the average person like myself and Parrish, who may not know the ins and outs of working in a garage, and we're looking forward to doing a tour with Frank and Cristian soon. We're also embarking on a journey of getting next level education out for folks in the community. So we're really grateful for your expertise in that. But in terms of Paolo and the next generation, how do we continue the thread of history and community as Paolo grows and Cristian continues to do his work? How do we do that, Frank? How do we keep that alive?
You need to inform the people, the students, the new generation, that it's not about not wanting to go to school. And like when I started, and I think Cristian is the same, and my son Paolo here is the same, we love cars. And we're a better place to hang out with all the nice cars. Because unfortunately, you know, people make mistakes and there's somebody there to fix them. So for the new generation, I think as far as a job, it's going to be a very good position to be in if you're able to do this type of technology work and so forth. And there needs to be payment for it too, for the knowledge, not just what we have now, because we're, as an industry, underpaid for the skill set that we require.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that we see a lot with working in trades and things like that. People don't understand they just see the hourly work that you do. They say, oh, well, you fixed my car in 4 hours. I'm only going to pay you for the 4 hours that you worked. But the expertise, the knowledge, and the passion that's built over a lifetime is really what you should be paying for, and it should be valued at a lot higher of a dollar mark, in my opinion.
It's going to be it's going to have to go that way too, because there won't be the people that go into that industry if there's not a return in it.
Yeah.
And with these new vehicles, they don't have a choice. Right now, you have the insurance companies, keeping the cost down from their pressure, the golden rule, he with the gold rules. But the manufacturers are gaining ground, and with the new technology, they know right now when you had an accident, and they can direct you, and manufacturers are starting to direct you to certified repair centers that have gone through the training and tooling that's required to fix the individual vehicle. So the consumer is going to be informed right at the time of need.
Yeah.
And it's already there. Tesla's doing a fantastic job with it, and other companies are following.
Oh, yes, that is. Oh, actually, sorry about this, guys.
Just going to turn the camera around. So as we're recording and putting the video to this podcast, wouldn't it be great to see the vehicles
Yes.
on the road at the moment,
Yes.
right? Because this is our reality.
Agreed.
Yeah. There's right now we are seeing some beautiful rain, but we get to look out at the beautiful river here, and then Detroit. Once the largest city in America, and
The
that-
Motor City.
Yeah, the real big boom with brands like Chrysler and things like that coming in. Have you guys felt any pinch, any setbacks due to some of our tariff action that's going on, or do you foresee it happening anytime soon?
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much of it yet, but obviously it's going to affect the cost of repairs. Because a lot of the parts come from USA,
Yeah.
and the vehicles are going to cost more, so it's just something that we have to work through and deal with. And we can't just go blaming everybody, because
Yeah.
President
keep
Trump
pointing
is doing
fingers.
what he thinks is best for his country. So it's, we need to have someone in our end do the same thing.
Yeah. Do you think that some of the business that we used to do in the United States, do you think that's going to shift back on to Canadian manufacturers? We see this huge push for shopping 100% Canadian right now. Do you think that there's going to be popping up new manufacturers?
At the beginning, maybe, but I think as a whole, we've been friends for so long, I don't think it's going to stop.
Yeah, that's a really good way of seeing it, being friendly with our neighbors.
Yeah, and just culturally, maybe going back to what I guess Cristian was saying about pride and passion. When we look at these vehicles driving by, we just take it for granted that they're part of our landscape, right? And so is it just what type? Well, maybe Cristian is a good question for you. What type of vehicles do you service at Formula First? And is there any other vehicles apart from cars that you work on?
We service everything, all makes and all models, but we're particularly known for luxury vehicles.
And how did that come about, Cristian? And I know we've got Frankie and Paolo, and it's a family business. But from your perspective, how does a company continue to keep its reputation to deliver the best service on these high-end luxury cars? Because that in itself is a talent, right? And it's only a few people that can actually do that.
At our place, we treat everyone equally, and that's the whole part of the Formula First experience. When you come to our facility, you get an experience like no other. So right from when you walk through the front door, you're greeted by two lovely ladies, birds. We have a cafe and a bistro. And when you guys come for your tour at our place, you'll see that there's nothing else like it.
And how did that vision come about, Frank? How did you transform that space into just, as Paolo said, the meat and potatoes, which is fixing cars, to then creating a family experience?
I guess because I never put money as the most important factor. Since I was 13, I knew what I was going to do. And you never give up in life, because when you give up is when you lose. So during all the hardships that I've been through and everything I've gone through, I just maintained my vision. And the vision was to be the best. And we are. And one of the things that I'm very proud of is that only 2 people that work for our facility have ever worked for another collision shop, and one comes from England and is very talented. We have grown our own people in-house, and we brought them up to the way we like to do things. When we have people from other shops, they don't seem to work out. They might for a month or 2, 3 months, and then it just doesn't work. Because they're still stuck in that old way of fixing cars, and you can't do that. You need to do it the way that the manufacturer tells you. And every vehicle is different, and every collision is different, so you can't take them all the same. It's like going to a doctor and say, I don't feel good. What's the doctor going to tell you? Well, I got to send you for some tests here. You need some blood work. You need x-rays, or whatever we need here. Same with our facility. Before we determine what the path is, we need to do all our research. We need to understand how we're going to fix that vehicle. What can we repair? What are we told we can't repair? What is one-time use? And there's a whole bunch of reading to do and understanding before we even touch a vehicle. And every vehicle that comes in, you have to scan a computer to tell you if there's any existing codes, and when did they happen. And then at the end, you need to do the same. You need to check seat belts. You need to take it for that test drive to make sure all the safety functions are working. You need to do a lot of things that the insurance really doesn't like to pay for. But that's what you paid your premium for, is to get you covered, to put you back where you were before. So it's very hard for shops like us to actually follow that whole principle. So I'm very passionate that we do. And we do not cut corners for insurance companies' benefit.
And, you know, when we think about that vision, and often we use words like visionaries, and that's how I see you, Frank. When we think about STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and we add the piece around art, I think this is really an artistic expression of everything all-encompassing. And so I think you folks really epitomize, that abbreviation STEAM, because what you're doing is you're not just thinking of it as segments, you're thinking it as an experience for somebody. And we're really fortunate, as I mentioned before, we are working together to bring cutting edge curriculum that you've produced in-house to really amplify it on a national level, hopefully with a little bit of funding. And I had the privilege of actually writing the literature review, and I was blown away with the work that you've been doing, Cristian. So where do you think that a lot of the work or the expertise or the wisdom that you've collected in this curriculum can go? And we're not just talking about just here in Windsor, because Windsor in itself is a beautiful anchor, but how can you actually be able to share this, and what do you think are the benefits of that as we move into this new age, where we're working with folks like Paolo in the next 10 to 15 years?
Well, like Frank said earlier, it's always evolving, and the evolution is never ending with the technology, and shops need to stay ahead of the curve, right? Work with the manufacturers and make sure they're investing in the equipment, the tooling, and the education of the people that are interested in learning and want to work in the industry.
That's wonderful. I just have one more kind of follow-up question. Sorry. If you had infinite funds from say maybe a millionaire decided he was going to give you a couple million, maybe the government opens up a giant funding for car manufacturing, car repairs. If you could have unlimited access to that kind of funds, what would you like to innovate in Windsor, Essex, when it comes to car repair, car manufacturing?
So I've already given it a lot of thought.
Perfect.
And I can see our facility being transpired into locations all over. Of course, it dictates on the ability to find the people to do that kind of work, which starts with schooling. So it's where we're heading. So the schooling with the right people would actually sustain those facilities. And being away from the insurance pressure. Because as soon as you get the insurance involved, the one's paying the bill, that does not guarantee a good repair. So by having the technology, the people are able to use it, and the funding to grow, there shouldn't be a reason why Formula First couldn't be like the McDonald's of auto repair. Through integrity,
Yeah.
not just money.
Yeah. So would you open your own like training facility? Would you said that you have almost every person that works for you is trained in-house by
Correct.
your rules, your
Yes.
standards. Would you want to implement that in
Definitely,
all across Canada, perhaps?
definitely.
In every automotive manufacturing program?
We could start here in Windsor.
Sounds perfect. I'll draft up the contract right now. I'll get the ball rolling for you. Yeah, do you have any last questions? Yeah, would you guys like to, like anything that you didn't, we didn't touch on already, anything you wanted to say that perhaps we didn't come across it?
I guarantee if most of your listeners, if you would ask them to describe what a body shop looks like, they're going to tell you dusty, dirty, stinky,
Yeah, greasy.
like not a nice place to be in.
Yeah,
But if you Google our facility, you will see what it looks like every day. So it's not just for the pictures. Every car is clean. There's no dust on the cars. The interiors are all covered with sheets. It's like an operating room, and that's the way it needs to be.
nice and sterile. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Any other remarks, Christian? Do you want to plug
Frank covered
anything?
it pretty good.
Paolo, would you have anything you want to, any closing remarks, anything you want to say? No? Well, it's been wonderful having you. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to
Other than to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Frank, and Cristian and Paolo for being part of this conversation. And as we begin to grow together, I think this converging elements of education and training facilities is something that's not only exciting for you as you bring your vision to light, but also for us as we begin to think about extended reality. So, Paolo, do you play video games?
Sometimes.
What's your favorite video game?
I don't know. There's
Okay,
a lot.
is there any video games you play with cars?
Yeah.
Okay, and are you into virtual reality and extended reality with the goggles? So maybe that's what we can bring to this new programming and take it to the next level with you folks, and with the knowledge and experience that Cristian has shared already.
So sorry to
Yes,
interrupt.
go ahead, Frank.
Mercedes-Benz, for example, they have the goggles now for repair.
Okay.
That's where it's headed.
That's where
Yeah.
it's all headed.
So maybe that's something that we want to start investigating together, very much like as Parrish mentioned at the end of Masood's presentation around artificial intelligence, something that we're working on nationally with a group of people. But I think this converging elements with a bit of youth and obviously a lot of wisdom, I look forward to our onward fruitful journey, and we look forward to being on site with you folks, and maybe Parrish can come along and take some photos, and we'll have you on
Absolutely.
social media. I love social media. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Parrish
welcome.
actually has a little gift.
I do. I have some gifts for you guys here today. So these are 3D printed keychains keychains from our research and innovation
Okay.
department. So we have two different kinds. There's these oblong ones that have a microphone, or we have the St. Clair curriculum. So you guys can take one. Each of you can take one.
Very cool. Thank you.
They're 3D printed. It's like it comes
Thank
out.
you.
It's magic. It just exists. It's crazy.